after hours. If we're a little delusional.
We've had a long day.
We always say this when we come on at night. We're just not used to it.
We're not night people.
You don't know what you're going to get tonight. Okay. Welcome to our book club meeting.
Bobbins and books. Sorry.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm Emily.
I am Mom. I'm Nettie.
Welcome to our discussion about this big, big book.
Big, beautiful book.
Little Women
It's
by
not-
Louisa May Alcott.
Yeah. How is everybody?
I first need to start by giving a huge, huge thank you to a fan of ours, Cindy. Let me make sure you say her last name right. Price. Cindy Price was so kind. She sent us Little Women t-shirts.
Or just you and Katie, right?
Yeah.
Katie couldn't make it. She
Yeah.
had fun plans come up. And
Yeah.
we are,
Supporting that.
we were like, yeah, go. That sounds great.
Yes.
So
She loved the book.
they won
Okay.
hockey tickets. I don't think she'd care. They won hockey tickets, so we were like, yes, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Shane wins tickets, and he won hockey tickets to the Golden Knights. And I would go if it was me. I would have been there.
Okay, so Cindy also, she lives near the Little Women house. She sent us this Little Women puzzle.
I can't wait.
what is that? Tea?
The Little Women Orchard House Blend Tea.
Interesting. I do want to try that.
I will be trying that. I
Yeah.
like tea. And then she sent all of us a cute needle minder, which is the Alcott Orchard House, which we've been there. And it was so awesome. And then these bookmarks that say, "Nothing is impossible to a determined woman."
Yes.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
Cindy,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your thoughtfulness. It made my day.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Very
It
nice.
totally made my day. We're going to start by asking who finished the book.
Raise your hand if you finish the book.
Okay, Katie did.
I'll raise Katie's hand. I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. I will say, I was not expecting to have it taken as long as it did. Usually I can get through a book that size in a few days because I'm a really fast reader. And it took me a whole week. I was worried I was not going to finish, but I did. I finished Saturday.
Nice.
So yes, raise your hand if you read the book and finished it.
Yeah.
Now, my next question is, how did you read it?
Did you listen to it? Did you read it? Did you listen to the dramatized version or just the original Audible version? Or did you physically read the book?
Or Kindle, yeah.
Or Kindle? I listened and read because this is my original copy. I bought this years ago because it was so pretty. I just buy books when they're pretty. So
She's a pretty book buyer.
Okay, I am. I collect pretty books. So I kind of, but I didn't actually read it from this. I had it on my Kindle, I had it on my Audible, and I had the physical copy.
Wow, that sounds stressful.
Yeah.
I read the
So-
dramatized by accident. I accidentally bought that one, but I thought it was great. And so I really enjoyed it. It had a full cast, had noise, like it played the piano, they sang,
Oh,
like weather, like I don't know. So I did listen to the dramatized on Audible and I really liked it. I thought it was good.
all right. So before we really jump in, we are stitching at the same time. I really don't know how much I'm gonna stitch because I am kind of leading the conversation and I have to look at my notes. But this is what I grabbed, you guys. I'm starting a new hobby. I'm doing embroidery. And this is my project. I am embroidering this snowflake.
That's cute.
And let me just tell you, cross stitch is very precise. It's just squares,
Yeah.
crosses.
Yeah.
How do you straight stitch and make it so straight? My mind is, I'm having a hard time with it. But I already finished one piece. I'll show it on FlossTube next time. But I started this one and I am determined to finish it. I actually feel like I'm getting a little better as I go.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting the hang of it. I'm using Valdani number 12, this red color, which is a beautiful red. It's a very Christmassy red. All right, so
Okay.
go ahead. Who's next?
Well,
Mama could go.
I'm gonna have to unpick
Okay.
Already.
already. I can't.
She won the trophy for first to unpick.
Oh my gosh. I can't stitch and talk at the
What are
same
you
time.
stitching?
Well, I'm stitching. I'll just show you one that's done. I'm stitching my little cocoa cups so I can make them into a mug rug for some friends for Christmas. And so I've been stitching a bunch of them, and yeah. So I'm just doing fill-in.
Okay. Emily, what are you working
I am
on?
stitching Lindsay's new chart. The Lord is my shepherd. This is new in our shop.
Fun fact,
Nice.
somebody stitched this and did the
I
sheep
saw that.
with all French knots.
I'm tempted.
That was really
That
cute.
is a commitment, you guys.
Yeah.
I can show.
That is a commitment.
That was really cute. What a cute idea. At first when I
I'm
looked
gonna
at it,
finish this.
when I
Yeah.
looked at it, I thought she'd punch needled it.
That's where I'm at.
Wow, sis, that's good.
I've been monogamously
that word.
stitching.
Monogamous.
She cannot say that word.
Monogamously.
Okay.
And I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish something once in my life.
Let us know what you're stitching on as you're reading or
Listening.
Listening to us.
I guess. Yeah.
Susan said that she finished the book a few weeks ago. I listened to the dramatized version while I went back and forth to Radiation. Oh my goodness. This book is so like heartwarming. I feel like that's a great book for that. Made the time go by fast and I loved the book.
Yeah, it is heartwarming.
Yeah, that would be
Wonderful.
cool.
Diana is stitching Hark the Herald. Kim is stitching a Jingle Ball class project,
Ooh.
the Stacy Nash. Oh, I love that one. That one is so good, you
I
guys.
still need to buy that one.
Nativity Tiny Town, Diane is stitching that. All right, keep it coming. So when I finished the book, I kind of was doing my research. I actually went into a rabbit hole when we visited the Alcott House, the Orchard House, a couple years ago in Massachusetts. I was so fascinated by the history, and I wanted to learn
think
more
it's in New
about
Hampshire.
it. In New Hampshire? I don't
I don't
remember.
know. We
Okay.
were staying in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I really became fascinated with the author, Louisa May Alcott. And so I kind of found a little bit of information about her, and I wanted to read it to you guys because I feel like it depicts her actual character in the book. And so Louisa May Alcott was an American author, best known for her beloved novel, Little Women. Raised in Concord, Massachusetts.
Oh,
She grew up
sorry. My bad.
She grew up in a highly creative but financially struggling household. Her father, Bronson Alcott, was a philosopher and educated, and her family was close with famous thinkers Ralph Waldo Emerson and David Thoreau, which are extremely famous authors, which I find that fascinating that they all lived in the same area, like these mastermind authors. I think that's so cool. Louisa was fiercely independent, adventurous, and determined from a young age. She worked many jobs, teacher, seamstress, governess, Civil War nurse, to help support her family. Her early writings included dramatic thrillers published under a pen name, but it was Little Women, which was written quickly under pressure from her publisher, that made her a household name. Like Jo March, Louisa valued freedom, creativity, and women's independence, and she never married, proudly choosing her own path. Her success as an author finally gave her family stability, and today she is remembered as a pioneering voice in American literature whose characters still feel modern and relatable. I wanted to read that because I really felt like that mirrored her character in the book, Joe's character.
Yeah.
Like, that just explains her to a T. And so I thought we would first start out with asking you guys, and I would love to hear your responses, and we'll read them and interact about each character and who you related to the most. So we can go over the characters, which I have a little list here so we don't forget anyone. So if you guys didn't know, the book is based off of her real life sisters. So Jo, in the book, her is Louisa, the author. Meg was her sister Anna. Beth was her sister Lizzie. And Amy was her sister May. And then there's Marmee and, of course, Laurie, Bear, the grandpa, which I don't remember his name, you guys. Anyway, so Emily, what character did you find the most relatable
Out of the sisters?
out of the sisters?
I feel like I relate to Jo for her rebellious nature and free spiritedness.
I really enjoyed Jo's character, I will say. She probably was my favorite character, but she wasn't the one that I related to the most. And this is going to surprise you both.
I already know what you're going to say.
Because
Maybe.
neither of them liked this character. And I told them we had to keep it nice on here, okay?
Okay.
I think that was
Just
directed
kidding.
to me.
Yeah.
So, Amy...
Well, it makes sense why Amy.
Okay, so I know Amy, like, it was a struggle to like her at first. And I think it's because she was
younger.
She was a brat.
she's younger, she was selfish, she was very, like, materialistic. Like, she had said, I'm going to marry for money.
Yeah.
And
It was all about her.
It was all about her. But she grew into a woman of...
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
of strength and fortitude, and she really, like, with her I think the reason is because I loved that she
She's an artist.
pursued her art. And if you've ever visited the house, this is what drew me to her character. And in the house, I was obsessed with Amy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with her. Like, I wanted to know everything about her because all in the house is her artwork on the walls, like her
Everything.
pottery, her paintings. They had a whole, like, diorama in there. Which, fun fact, when we were in the area, do you remember this with the diorama and the lights kept flickering?
Mm-hmm.
It was spooky. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
There's
Are
something
they
going on.
here?
Yeah. There's some.
So I loved Amy's progression as a character. I feel like she grew, like, the most in her story of a young child who was very materialistic, who seemed a little surface level, to a really beautiful adult who pursued her passion of art. And I loved that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom.
I liked Beth. I just thought,
liked
I
Beth,
just
too.
really liked Beth. I thought she was just so sweet and just shy, and how she just looked up to, I think, all of her sisters and just admired, I think, everything that they all did, and was so loving and caring.
She was
And-
such a quiet spirit.
Yes.
Like,
And
Yeah.
I just loved her.
she was almost like the central of the family, as far as, like, I don't know, everyone, like, kind of went to her for peace and nurturing.
Yep.
And I loved that. I loved that.
Yeah.
All right, let's read some of the comments. Mary said, I think I related most to Beth for her shyness.
Yeah.
And she was very shy. And I loved how she just like she thought of other people more than herself. Like
Yeah.
she just was so beautiful. Mary also says, I agree about Amy. She was determined to overcome her weakness, and she did. And I loved that because
I did
like
too.
she could
Yeah.
see that she had those weaknesses, and she was so determined to like her, I don't know if you guys remember in the story when she did the little art fair and she just took it with grace, how they took her table over and she didn't make a fuss about it, and she was like, I'm just here to like be helpful, and I don't know, like I think that took a lot out of her. So
To me, it seemed like, I don't know, it seemed like to me, Amy, Joe, and Meg had the more lessons to learn.
yes, and they all learned one of the biggest lessons from Beth, which was to live life.
Yeah.
To be honest, like her character story and how she ended up dying, like I just think they all just took that as living life to the fullest, and I loved that.
Yeah.
Diane said she's an Amy too. Anyone else want to put in their 2 cents of what character they related to the most
Or the sister.
of the sisters? Kathy said, I loved Beth, and I also like Joe because she stayed true to herself. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because she did. Like, she knew who she was, and she was a wild, rebellious, free spirit, and she kept true to that throughout the entire story. And I really appreciate that as a person who, you just know who you are, you know your identity, and I feel like that is a beautiful thing. Lisa says, I think I was Amy when I was younger, but more Joe as I have aged. And I can see that. I think each sister has something you can relate to.
Yeah.
I felt very able to relate to each sister in certain ways. I feel like the sister I didn't relate to the most was Meg.
Is that the oldest one?
That's the oldest sister.
Yeah, I think,
And I don't know why that is, because honestly, like the first part of like growing into an adult, I was very much like her character. I was a young mom, got married young, was trying to figure out how to juggle being a wife and a mom, and that's kind of like her story a little bit. I feel like she has the most, I don't know, like, I don't feel like she had really hard lessons to learn either. I feel like Joe and Amy. Okay, let's hear it.
Well, if we want to get, to the nitty gritty, I was like, I related with her husband and her scenario. Like, I'm like, you do go through that stage with your significant other of like, I don't even know what to call it, but just like
learning to coexist and be a partner. Be a partner.
Like, and I feel like that's super relatable. And Marmee came in and was like, you're part of the problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you need to figure out how to fix this. And so I feel like she did have some lessons. And then when she was, she went to that family's house for like a week or whatever, and
they dolled her all up.
And she felt guilty about it or whatever, and I feel like they were like, I don't know. But those were the 2 things I noticed, with her, and getting wrapped up in her kids, and like just like not letting him like help with the kids, and just being super like, it's my responsibility, but letting that go and just like letting him help. And so
a lot of people have said Amy is who they relate to, and I find that fascinating, and I kind of love that, because I think she's a hard character to love in a way, but I ended up really loving who she became. Patricia says, I liked the housekeeper, which her name was Hannah, which I have a Hannah, and I loved that. And the housekeeper was,
Well, we could say
Okay.
our favorite character.
okay,
Because
But-
this is who we're saying we related to.
yes.
Maybe we could say, who's your favorite character?
Okay, go ahead.
Oh. Well, kind of like what similar to someone said, but when I was young and I watched the movies, Joe was my favorite. In the books, Marmee is my favorite.
I like Marmee. I like that she was kind of,
Like their voice of reason almost.
she was, and she let them learn their lessons.
Yeah.
Like how they're like, that one weekend where they're like, we're not going to do anything. We're going to
Yeah.
just, do nothing. And they ended up hating it so bad. But the mom was like, Marmee was like, I'm just going to let them do that and see what they find out, that you actually need to work and you need to do things to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And I loved that lesson.
Yep.
I also really liked Marmee. I love Laurie.
Who doesn't?
Like,
I
who
love
doesn't
him.
love Laurie? Like, besides Amy, who I really loved, I loved Laurie, and I loved the playfulness and wildness he brought to the story. And I feel like
Teddy.
Teddy. I feel like he brought out the best in each sister.
Yeah.
Like, he just was so kind-hearted, and he loved them all. And was like a brother to all of them, and of course ended up marrying Amy.
Yeah.
Yay. Anyway, I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but okay. Mom, who is your favorite character?
I don't know, like, favorite, but I was actually fascinated over the aunt. The aunt,
Yeah.
Aunt March.
the Aunt March that would sit there and take them in and see if they had a talent or what they did, and then she would help them, whatever.
Yeah, but she was very like, if you didn't meet her expectations, like
Yes.
like for Meg, she was basically like, you can't marry that man because he has no wealth, and I'm gonna disown you, and you're not gonna get
Yeah.
any of
You
my
ain't getting
inheritance.
nothing.
Well, and I just think I don't know if it's just because of that era and time. I mean, that's how
Yeah.
the old people and people with wealth were like. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, I'm going to help you or whatever and help guide you, but
But you got to do what
then-
I think you
yes,
should do.
Yes. And I'm only going to give you the money if you do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
So,
Kathy says, I related to Beth because I also had twins. I loved the way the parents taught the girls that they allowed them to fail and not be perfect in everything. And I agree. That's such a strong lesson. And I think that's a lesson that we can learn in our lives today as parents. Is it's really hard to let your kids fail, but you have to.
yeah.
If you want them to learn life's lessons, like, you have to let them make their choices and reap the consequences of their choices.
Yeah.
But you can be their support and still love them unconditionally. And I think that's what the family really showed, was unconditional love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So another thing about the Aunt March is what I liked, and since I didn't finish the book, I'm assuming it ended the same way.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Is how in the end she actually gave
Joe.
Joe her house.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So
I
that's
felt like that she didn't like Joe out of all the sisters.
Yeah.
I felt like she was harder on Joe than any of them.
Yeah.
And because I don't think she agreed, liked how she was a writer and
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really awesome that she actually was like, here's she gave her the house, and then
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Let's see. Donna said, I kind of felt like Meg was kind of like Amy before she was married. She wanted to be more fancy than she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all kind of had, besides Joe and Beth,
Yeah.
Amy and Meg, I guess.
Yeah,
They
wanted
all,
the fancy.
they wanted the fancy. They wanted to be rich. They wanted
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
wealthy. But what I find in the story is throughout the story, they do talk about how they were poor, but they didn't let that stop them from living a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting is they still had a servant, although they were poor.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
I think it's...
But I think, okay, this is my logic thinking back in the day. Yeah, they might have had servants like before, like if it was the Great Depression or they were poor, they had that servant. But these servants were so dedicated to them.
Yes, they were like a family member.
Yeah, they were like a family member that, so when, you know, when they couldn't afford it anymore or whatever, they just still stayed as, they were part of the family.
Well, and they got, like, they lived there, and
Yeah.
they were, like, it was like they were just part of the family, and I really loved Hannah. I loved her character.
Yeah.
Okay, so the big question here is, why do you think Joe and Laurie weren't right for each other in the book? Like, I feel like throughout the entire book, it's leading you to believe that they will get together.
Yeah.
And Laurie feels that way, and Joe does not.
Yeah.
And I don't know. How did you feel about that? How did you feel about where he ended up and which sister he ended up with?
Well, in a perfect world, for me, he would have been with Joe. So, I don't know. I just feel like... But, you know, in the book. In real life, I can see, like, maybe why not. But, like, I'm just like... I prefer Joe and Laurie together. I can't come up with words, you guys. It's okay. A long day. Like, what are we wording?
So, So I actually wanted to know actual facts about the book and the story of their lives versus, like, their real life and story. And Laurie was actually inspired by two real boys that Louisa adored. And when Louisa wrote it, she did not want Joe to get married. Alcott, and this is what it said, Alcott hated the idea of Joe ending up with anyone and she only married her off because fans demanded a romance. Mm-hmm. And so she was, I don't know if you guys know this, but when the book was released, it was released in 2 parts. So it wasn't fully released at once. So they got the first part when they're kind of younger, and then part 2 when they're like the adults and when Meg gets married and moves forward with that. But she purposely made Professor Bear unromantic out of rebellion. So, like,
Interesting. So she, like, sabotaged it.
She sabotaged it.
Well, I think that's one
funny.
reason why she made him so old looking.
They probably are like, they get this.
Like, he's like 30 years older than her, and
I just like,
I think harder to relate to that romantically. And so I found that really fascinating. And I'm not going to lie, like, as a kid, we watched Little Women every Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
always was disappointed that they didn't end up together.
It was just
and
so
it's
fun.
funny, you'd watch it every time and you'd still was hoping that they'll still end up, and you knew that they weren't going to.
Maybe we just
still
need a different version.
Okay, let's read. So there's some comments. Let's dig into this. Okay. So Leah says, yes, I wish Laurie and Joe would have ended up together. Mary also says, I was hoping he would end up with Joe. Diane says she thought of him as a brother. He wanted to take care of her and she wanted to be independent. And I think that's true. And I think what Joe ends up saying in the book is, hey, we're too much alike.
Yeah.
Like, we are like the same, we're spirit animals, basically. Like, we're the same spirit in different forms, and this would not work. Like, it would not work. And so Joe saw him or loved him as a brother. Amy was a good fit. Joe and him did end up as brother and sister. And I like how that happened. But as like my girlhood watching this movie, I was always like, why didn't they end up together?
Felt like you settled.
Yeah.
For me, it
Yes.
was like, I'm just gonna settle because my grandpa wants me to marry in this family.
Mm-hmm.
So he settled for what he could.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. But were they a good fit? Sure.
Yeah.
I don't
But-
know.
But I'm just like, to me, it just felt like
aesthetically they were.
yeah, like, and I'm just like, did he just settle because it was his grandpa's wishes, like, to marry into the family? And I did like the grandpa a lot.
So
I will say that.
I do want to touch on that. In the movie, you don't get much of the grandpa character in the movie.
What is his name?
Grandpa Lawrence. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what his name is. But I loved how they really expanded on his character in the book.
Yeah.
It made him so lovable, and how he just was so fond of Beth and gave her the piano, and just, I just thought he was a peach, to be honest. Mary wants to know, which movie version did we watch every Christmas? The original.
The
Is there
one
more
With
than the
Winona
With-
Ryder
Yeah, with
as
Winona.
Joe,
Yeah.
as Joe. Which, okay, that leads me to ask you, what was something, like, the most shocking scene or thing that happened that was like, I don't know, it kind of was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Okay, before we go into that, I will say, I feel like this read like an autobiography in a way. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a hard time getting through it, which was surprising for me, because it just was very autobiographical. And it wasn't like these really shocking things that happened throughout, but there were some things. So let's talk about those. Anything that you were like, or mad about, or I'll go first.
Yeah,
if
you need
if
to
you
go
go
first.
first.
if you need to think about it. One, I have a few things. One is when Amy burned Joe's book.
Yes. That's when I
Yeah,
started
I
not
can't.
liking her. She was a brat. Sorry, guys. She was a brat.
Like, to
It was
burn,
just
like,
sad.
so personal. Like,
Yeah.
that was such a personal,
Yes.
ugh,
Did,
Yeah.
yeah.
that was such a personal dig. And I was
Yeah.
like, how could she do that?
I just, raising you girls and stuff and thinking like, would one of your sisters do something like that?
I would never
I would never-
vindictively
no.
do something like that. So I was very
was-
disappointed in her character when she did that.
I mean,
Maybe when Joe shaved her head.
yes.
Yes,
know,
that
like-
was my other one.
Yeah, when she cut all
Yeah.
her lovely locks.
Yes, to
Yes.
help her dad because he was away and sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also will say they expanded on the dad a little more in the book than in the movie. He's not really a character of mention in the movie,
No.
which I think
very
is
small.
okay because he doesn't add a ton to the book either, in my opinion, but he still was like showed up more in the book. Patricia, when nobody showed up for the big party that Amy put on.
I thought that was interesting because that's not in the movie.
No, that whole
Like that-
plot isn't in the
Same
movie.
with the flower table thing.
So
like-
maybe
yeah.
we didn't get in the movies, we didn't get the full meaning
You
of
didn't
what.
get the full, I
thing
think, Amy
Yeah.
character development.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you probably still have
I'm,
a
like,
grudge
biased,
against Amy because she hasn't finished the book.
No.
But Amy actually goes through a lot more
Yeah.
in the book, and her character develops a lot more.
Yeah.
But and then obviously the passing of Beth, that was just
Heart-wrenching.
so heart-wrenching, especially since they were such a close-knit family. And she was such a soft, loving soul, and it just was, I did shed a tear when that happened. I would, even though I knew it was going to happen, I still was sad about it. Let's see.
The other thing, like we talked about earlier, or we kind of talked before we started this, is what I liked about the whole family dynamic and everything of that time is like how no matter how much they were, how poor they were, or how much they struggled and everything, they were always still ready and willing to help their neighbors or somebody in need and stuff. And you know, and share what they had, which wasn't much, and
Yeah.
you know, or go help somebody that was sick,
Yeah.
because right, that's how Beth
that
got
led
sick.
to her demise.
Yes, it
And-
led to her demise.
Yeah, and didn't think nothing of it. They just knew they had
I
to
did.
help.
Yeah, I cried when the baby
So-
passed because I'm like, that's just so sad.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's what I love about, you know, that whole thing in
And-
time.
I just loved touching back. It was Marmee. Like, I'm like, Marmee just instilled such beautiful life lessons to her kids. And I'm like, the whole time I was like, wow, how do I do this? How do I instill these beautiful life lessons into my kids? And like, just to be like, I don't know, like, it just touched me so much because I'm like, she just did it so well.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that
Yeah,
as a parent.
yeah.
Like, it's so hard because, you know, he's triggered, I'm triggered, we're all triggered. I'm just
The
like,
triggers were coming
how do
out.
I stay calm and like teach my kid in a calm way and articulate myself in a way that he understands, you know, all
Yeah.
of the things we struggle with as people and
Yeah.
when you're young. And I just loved Marmee for that in this book a lot. I
I
loved
just
how
think
she
that
did that.
she taught them to think about others, not always
Yeah.
just themselves. Like, you know, we need to serve others and help others and not just always think of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yep. Kathy said, I think in the time, oh wait, hang on. I meant to read this one. Susan said, what about how fun it was to watch John fall in love with Meg? He was determined to win her affection. I was surprised at how quickly she changed her mind and fell in love with him too. What I found interesting is like back in that time,
I enjoyed it.
like back in that time, families, like they really tried to marry their girls in higher up because like they knew they would be taken care of, like it was, you know, just a thing. And how we kind of talked about how Aunt March was like, if you marry this man, then you're always going to be poor and impoverished, and I'm writing you out of my will and everything. And I think I love that she married for love, and it is fascinating how quickly they seem to get into relationships, and it was very quick. And I thought that was interesting because, yeah, I liked that.
I didn't like that I liked that the parents didn't pressure them into that either.
Yes, I think because they had a good foundation of, well, love is more important than marrying into money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Amy and Meg kind of wanted to do that, and like their characters wanted to marry higher up. But it's really interesting. So one thing that this reminded me of Meg's story of the jam, how she wanted to do something that was, you know, a housewife thing, and she spent all day trying to make this jam, and she couldn't make it set, and she was so upset, and her life was like over, and her husband came home with company, and they had a big argument about it, and it was like, gosh, like, does that even happen anymore? Like,
Right.
you know, like, it was so interesting. Yes, the relationships were quick because, yes, they didn't live together beforehand. They didn't even like
Very
probably
proper.
they were very proper. Like they
Yeah.
didn't even like be in the same room without other people, you
Yeah.
know. It's really interesting.
I didn't know how. I do love, like, this is random. I don't know why it connected to my brain, but like they were outside a lot, and like they talked about like going on a canoe or something a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't feel like they showed that really in the movie. And I was like, it just sounds like and we've been there, and now I want to go back
Yeah.
and like do a more in-depth tour of that area
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just like, this is fascinating. Like, because it's like, I had culture shock when I went there.
Yeah.
I really did. Because I'm from the desert. I'm from the mountains in Utah. Like,
And it was
I had
chilly.
major culture shock when I went out east. And I didn't get enough time to, like, explore the outdoors there because it's so different than here. And just reading about them doing that, like frolicking in the wilderness and going to the river. I don't know if it was like a river or a creek or what, but I was like, I want to see that, like, there. Because it seems different than here. I don't know.
One thing that I kind of pondered a lot about was how they spent their time. And, like, that's kind of going off of that. Like, they made up stories. They did their plays. They
had to entertain themselves.
They did a lot of needlework. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. They were constantly sewing. And that's what they spent their time doing, is doing creative things that were also useful. And I really enjoyed hearing about, you know, them, like, always sewing and making things. And, like, when Meg got married and they got her house all prepared and everything was handmade, and it just seemed so special. It just seemed like that everything was well thought out. Everything had intention. Everything had meaning. And everything was treated special. Yes. Like, everything they had was treated with respect, and, like, it wasn't disposable.
Yeah, it's so different now.
And it's so different now.
They would fix everything.
Yeah, like, they
would fix your clothes until they were rags. Like,
well, and they even talked about how Amy, like, painted her shoes to fit into, like, the social, what was popular then, and, like, they used with what they had, and they all had talents in that aspect.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
They would, sew everything by hand.
Yeah, they didn't have a sewing machine. They didn't have a sewing machine, and one scene that I thought was interesting is how they talked about sewing sheets, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. They had to sew their sheets.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is wild, and, like, we take all of that for granted.
We really do.
And the other thing to, like, compare then to now, and we were kind of discussing this earlier, we were all talking, and I was like, in the book, she's very descriptive.
Yeah.
She's descriptive about everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, we have actually lost that as a society of, like, describing things to each other, because we just take a picture
and we send
and send it to somebody, or we take a video and we no longer know how to freaking describe anything because it's so, like,
as you can tell in this video now.
It's like we can't use our words. We don't know what. Yeah, it's just weird.
And she used her words so beautifully to describe every nuance and every like, their clothing and what they did, and I just loved that. And I just it made me feel very nostalgic for a time before, you know, the internet and screens, and it's like, how different would our life be? Okay, so some book versus movie talk. Yes, people were so well spoken.
Yes. Well, that's what I meant. Like, I can't articulate what I want to say.
Well, and also, like, your grammar. I mean, I'm sure there's no grammar here, but everybody spoke very well, and I mean,
okay, so how did the movie or book change your understanding of a character? Like, was there a character in particular that you felt like you understood better because of the book or movie?
I think definitely probably Amy. I understood a little more, and what's his name? The grandpa, Laurie's grandpa.
I think.
Yeah. See, I can't even use my words, you guys.
I
it's not good.
really enjoyed going deeper into the characters because you really got a better sense of each character and their identity. But like Emily said, Amy specifically, like they dive way deeper into her character in the book than they do the movie. And I feel like that's why I grew to love her so much.
And I wonder why that is, because Jo, that's based on her real life.
Mm-hmm.
But in the books, it's like how she shows how Amy grew so much. You know?
Well, I would say it's more Jo's like point of view than anything. Like they do go into Amy's point of view, like when she goes to Europe and she really becomes, you know, the lady that she is. Kim says, I've never seen the movie. Crazy. I'm 61 and read it when I was 15. I'm going to watch the movie. You have to watch the movie.
You have to watch the movie.
I know.
And I'm not gonna lie. I like the first movie.
I can watch
the
both,
second one. It was okay, but
it's just way more nostalgic for me to watch the other one.
Yes.
And I just think it's because we watched it every year at this time.
And I want a Little Women Christmas.
Well, I was going to ask, okay, so the next question is, if you could spend a day at the March household, what would you want to do? Like, what experience would you want to be there for?
Well, it would be Christmas, and then, like I said earlier, like, exploring the outdoors where they lived. Those two. So probably, like, spring and Christmas.
Yeah, I agree. Like Christmas is such a big part of the movie or the book because it starts at Christmas time and then the next Christmas, you know, when the dad comes home and they're singing at the piano, which I found fascinating. Like people don't just do that anymore where they gather together and at a piano and sing. Like that's what they did for fun. And it's like, what do we do now? Sit all on our couch and look at our phones?
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's like they nourished their soul, you guys.
With music. And dancing
and plays and creativity.
Yeah, or reading a book out loud, I'm sure, and stories.
They just loved life.
It was cute. They did say in the book, like, oh, read it to me. Like, it was like they would...
Yes, they would read stories to
or the
each
paper,
other.
or the little short stories that Jo would do, and
yes, I would want to also have Hannah cook for me and have some traditional dishes from back then because I loved her character and she was always the cook and I thought that would be fun and just. I don't know, just being in their family room and enjoying just being one of the sisters. So, yeah. Oh, I'd want to sit and stitch with them, Donna says.
Fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I feel like they would be horrified by my embroidery work. In fact, I was thinking as I started my embroidery, I'm like, they embroidered on everything, you know, like they would monogram things and they would make things pretty just to make it pretty.
Yeah.
And they've had so much love that they put into their handwork. And I love that now we're doing handwork and we're doing it for the joy of it. And it brings us so much joy. So I'm so grateful that we have that. Yeah, the plays were really fun. And Jo is just such a character. I love her wild and free spirit. So I also asked for fun facts about the book and like their real life. And these are some fun facts about them. The book was actually written under protest. Louisa May Alcott did not want to write a girl's story. Her publisher pushed her into it because girlhood novels were selling well. And one difference that I found in the movie versus the book was in the movie, the professor is the one that says, hey, you can do better than this. And he kind of does that in the book because she was writing those silly stories for the newspaper.
Which I would love to read what she was writing.
I do too. But I was
like, I wonder what she was writing.
Yeah, but like he wasn't the one that said you need to write your story, and how the movie ended with her writing the story of her sisters. In the book, she never does that.
Yeah.
Like, she never writes the story. And so I found that an interesting change.
I swear when we did the tour, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because there is the schoolhouse on the property. What was I trying to say? Like, it was like versus the books and stuff. Like, they in real life, like, they all participated in the school, it sounded like.
Yeah.
And like they built it right there, and she taught it, which I find interesting. And I don't know where I was going with that. I'm not gonna lie.
It's all right.
But it was cool. If you guys ever get a chance, like, definitely go do that tour.
I'm trying to talk them into going again because I didn't go with
I
them
would
on
go
that trip.
again. It was really cool. And
Yeah.
it was cool to be in their home, and like
It was bigger than I thought.
it was big. It in a lot of rooms for a lot of different reasons, and the schoolhouse was there, and it was just interesting. And yes, Amy drew on everything. Like, everything in the house had a drawing.
I was so
That's probably
fascinated.
why you related
and
to her.
you,
They doodled.
if I remember
I was
right,
doodling.
yeah, she doodled and drew on every surface in that house. And I don't believe you were allowed to take pictures in the house, and that bummed me because I wanted to. You
maybe
weren't,
there's
you
a
weren't
YouTube
allowed
tour you
to.
could watch or something, like a one they put on. I forgot about. I actually wondered that. I was like, why don't I have any pictures? But yeah, they didn't let you take pictures.
When I went into Amy's room, I started crying. Like, I was like, holy cow, this is just her.
And she had a sad real life. She lost her kids or something.
She did.
Like,
I want to say in real life, I wish I would have looked this up. After we went to the house, I read all about her, and she did have an interesting life. And I think she did lose a child, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to look that up. That's
and it
interesting.
was really sad. I remember being sad when they talked about her and what she went through, and
yep.
Sad.
In the movie, does the house resemble the real house? You know, I'm gonna have to rewatch the movie.
Yeah.
I watched it last Christmas.
I'm gonna watch it.
I actually wanted to watch it this weekend, but I didn't get a chance to do that. Okay, so some other fun little facts. Joe refusing Laurie was intentional rebellion. Readers begged Louisa to have Joe marry Laurie. She refused. She said making Joe marry Laurie would be unnatural, and she purposely married Laurie to Amy just to surprise the readers. So
She was stubborn, man.
I know. And then the marriage to Bear was written out of spite because the readers insisted Joe had to get married. But in real life, she never got married, you guys. She never did.
Really?
Yep. Louisa wrote much of the first half at incredible speed. Her publisher had given her a short deadline, and she finished it in a single month. So she wrote the first part of the book in 1 month.
Oh.
And it was an instant bestseller. It sold out of its first print run in 2 weeks. And I think that is amazing. Like, I often wonder what it was like back then.
When was it published?
I'll have to look. I don't
I
know.
wonder if it's in here.
Like, back then, like, people, like, if you didn't have a lot of money, I don't imagine you bought a lot of books either.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but they bought books for their entertainment. Like, that was their entertainment.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting.
First published in the United States in 2 parts in 1868 and then 1869
Oh, wow. I didn't. Oh, wow.
by Puffin Books. Excuse me.
Beth's storyline.
Bless you.
Beth's storyline mirrors Louisa's heartbreak.
I'm sorry,
Bless,
guys.
bless you,
I've
child.
had like allergies so bad.
So in real life, Louisa's sister Lizzie died at the age of 22 after complications from scarlet fever. So she did actually lose her sister, and that inspired that character. Alcott originally planned a darker second half. She preferred plot twists, dramatic deaths, and adventure, not domestic tales, but the publisher steered her towards morals and marriage. So she really
Which
wanted...
is interesting because she flipped that when she was in New York, right? When she was in New York, and it was like, no, stop writing about all the good moral stuff and write about all the scandalous things.
Yes.
And so that was the opposite. That's funny.
Donna said, Amy's child, Beth, was sickly, or am I confused? Yes, you're right. At the very end, kind of like it was prologue-y-ish, how they kind of talk about the characters. They did mention that Amy had a child who was sickly. But they never did say she died, but they did mention she was going to work on a statue of her child to make sure like she would always have her face or whatever. So, okay, I think we'll kind of wrap up here. Let's give our final star review.
Oh, God, I haven't even thought about this.
Everyone chime in with their review, their stars. How many stars?
At the other end?
Mother? She didn't finish.
I didn't finish the book.
We'll give her Katie's, because Katie told us what her...
what was her?
Katie said she would give it 4 stars. I did talk to her a little bit about it, and she did say it was slow, and it was hard to get through the last 3 hours. But she did enjoy it, and she gave it 4 stars.
Very good.
Now, I'm struggling, you guys. Because I'm really picky when it comes to my books, and I will give an honest review. I love the story, but it was a little too autobiographical for me. And so my initial thought was I want to give it 3 stars. But I'm like, this is such a classic. I have to give it 4 stars. So I'm giving it 4 stars. And would I read it again? I don't think so. Only because I felt like I got the story and I don't feel like it's one I would need to read again. Plus, I watch the movie every year, so I kind of get reminded. So 4 stars for me.
Well, I don't usually rate books. I don't know, I don't understand the scale, I guess. But I would say for what it is and when it came out and understanding it and growing up with it, I would give it a 5 star.
Wow.
But I wouldn't read it again like you. Like, it's not something I would like, oh, I want to read this again. Like, I can give it a 5 star for what it is and the time period it came out and like the impact it has had on me, in the world, because it is something I've watched throughout my whole life, and we are 4 daughters.
We're 4 sisters, so I think that's why we love it so much,
and I do love it, and I relate to it a lot. So, and I enjoyed it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed it. So.
Oh yes, I enjoyed it, and I felt connected to the characters, and like Emily said, for that time period, and being able to relate to something that was written so long ago, I think is a testament to Louisa, how she made these characters women that we can all find relatable things in, and I really appreciate that about.
I will say, this is probably the oldest published book I read besides the Bible. Thinking about it.
Yeah.
I actually don't think I've read anything older than this.
I have, but they've been
But
nonfiction.
Maybe I have more self-help type books.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to say this is probably the oldest
fiction
book I've read that's published.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that till just now.
It's definitely a classic, heartwarming story, a feel-good story, and I would definitely recommend it. And I feel like
I think it'd be a great read for a young girl.
Yes.
Honestly, it really was.
And it just kind of makes you nostalgic for living in that time and what it would be like, because it's so different. Like, can you imagine if their characters came to like the year we are in now?
They
Oh,
would
wow,
not
it'd blow 'em away.
survive.
Like,
I actually think you'd be like, did I time travel into
Space?
like I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
yes. So awesome. Well, I feel like this has been a successful book club discussion. Thank you for joining us.
She was very
Yes.
scared.
I was nervous because I was like,
did everyone get stitching but you?
I didn't do any
I did.
stitching.
I got the PH and some of the E.
I finished a cup and started another.
Awesome.
And I can't stop yawning, so I need to go home and go to bed.
I've legit pretty much been up since like 2 a.m. You guys.
Yeah.
4 for me.
So I am ready for bed, but it's been great.
Yes.
I
Yes.
would love to see and hear what book suggestions you have for our next book club.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you comment.
Leave
in
a
it.
comment. We want to
Yeah.
hear your suggestions.
Yeah.
We don't have any hints on the next book because we
We haven't even talked or picked
Oh
any.
my
Mom,
gosh,
stop
I can't
it.
stop
we need to put
yawning.
Mama to bed.
It's a
yawning.
bedtime.
I haven't had enough coffee today. Or
That
something,
I'm
I
like,
think.
it's dinner.
Yes, I do have to say, Mary said this book and The Nightingale couldn't be more different.
Oh, big
very
time.
different, very different. And that's why Emily was like, she was worried because I feel like The Nightingale had so many things to talk about, where this was just a family story. So I was like, are we going to be able to talk about this for an hour? But we did.
We did.
Yeah.
We
We
did.
did
So
We did it.
we hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you
and
on
we'll see you
Plus 2.
Thursday. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.